Hello, my fellow concerned friends, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for showing up and supporting me. Thank you for being here today. And if you're new here, thank you for clicking on my channel. Out of all of these other channels you could have watched, you chose to give me a chance. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I hope that you stick around, and I hope that you get something beneficial from my content, even if it's just feeling safe, seen, and supported in our community of fellow concerned friends. And today we're talking about a company meant for babies, for caring for babies, for baby care. We are talking about FridaBaby. If you guys have been on the same side of TikTok that I have been on this week, then you will know that this kind of just blew up out of nowhere. And I am so thankful for the person who brought everybody's attention to this, because I don't know who originally brought this up, but thank you, because this is something that I had pushed out of my brain since 2021. In 2021, when I was a new mom, I did use FridaBaby products, specifically the Wendy. So the Wendy is like a device that helps a baby pass gas when they literally cannot pass gas. And I remember buying this product and me and my husband coming home and looking at the box, and I didn't remember what it said till this whole conversation was brought up and somebody in my TikTok comments literally posted a picture of what it said. But I remember looking at what it said and looking at my husband and us both being like, that's really weird. And we never bought a FridaBaby product again. And now if you're wondering, what could have possibly been so bad on this box of a childcare product that's meant for farting? Let's just be honest. What the fart? Farting, like how bad could it be? This is what it says. It is a picture of a baby with their legs up on the box, and at the top it says, "Tap that gas. Tap that gas." And this is a running theme with FridaBaby marketing that I didn't notice back then, because once I saw this box, I just never interacted with FridaBaby again. So like I said, I'm so glad that this is getting brought up, because this needs to be talked about. And I've seen a couple people on TikTok be like, with everything going on in the world right now, we're really going to, lose our minds over FridaBaby, over a baby company, blah, blah. Yes, we are, because it's all interconnected. It's all on the same wheel. This is wrong. And every single person who thinks it is funny to make an adult joke about a child needs to be held accountable, especially when it is a child care company making these jokes. And maybe you're saying to yourself right now, tap that gas is really not that bad. First of all, it is. And I am going to show you a mirror right now to really look in the reflection and ask yourself, why do I think that's funny? Why would I think that's funny as a parent to be about to insert something into my child's rectum to help them feel relief, while the last thing I read about this was tap that gas, which is implying tap that gas. This is the first post that I saw of somebody else talking about this that actually made me remember the whole Wendy situation. Listen to how disgusting and vile this is. This is an advertisement for a 3-in-1 thermometer, okay? What is a thermometer? Oh yeah, to check and see if your child has a temperature, if they have a fever. Because if children have untreated and unchecked fevers, that could cause them to not be here anymore. A very serious situation. Not a situation parents want to find themselves in or really even think about. But as a parent, what I really don't want to think about before I am checking my child's temperature because I have anxiety and fear that they are sick and something bad could happen to them, I don't want to think about the fact that this could be the closest my husband will get to having a threesome by me and my husband checking our child's temperature. This is the closest your husband's going to get to a threesome. Meet the new 3-in-1 True Temp thermometer, and at the bottom it says, we got options, rectal, underarm, or oral. After they just said that this is the closest your husband's going to get to a threesome. And I've already seen parents say that it's not that deep, or whatever, I don't care, I love their products anyway, which is mind-boggling to me, because how would you feel if somebody said that just straight to your face? Like, how would you feel if a salesperson trying to get you to buy that product said those things straight to your face in front of your partner, in front of your child? You know what? How about I show you and maybe we can all reflect together and see how uncomfortable this actually is? Because at the end of the day, there is a real person, not only behind the words that have been typed out, but behind the thought process in general, behind the entire marketing. There's multiple people involved in this. How would you feel if you were sat down across from them and they said these vulgar, gross things to you about things that you are going to do with your child? Hi, so my partner and I are new parents and we're looking for some baby care items. We've heard about FridaBaby, so we were wondering if you'd be willing to tell us a little bit more about your products. Yes, and we here at FridaBaby really appreciate you choosing us. You know, we really care deeply about parents' experiences in parenthood, which is why we try to offer baby care products with a fun little joke inside. You know, something that mom and dad can laugh at in the midst of the parenthood woes. For instance, take a look at our 3-in-1 thermometer. It could be the closest you and your husband will ever get to a threesome, am I right? And if your little one's feeling gassy, don't worry, we have just the product to tap that gas. Am I right? Am I right? Wait, where are you guys going? These are great products. I mean, some people just cannot take a joke. Now listen, clearly I know I am not the best actor, okay? When I went to college, I was there for speech and stage design, stage makeup. They tried to make me act, baby, I dropped out before that. But I hope I did good enough to get the message across. I hope that that was kind of gross to listen to and shocking to hear because, like I said, at the end of the day, the people behind what you're seeing on these boxes are real people who really had these ideas. These are possibly real parents who were taking care of their own child and thought to themselves, haha, let me tap that gas in the middle of caring for their child. These are possibly parents or just people in general who may be around children or have their own children and are taking temperatures and are saying to each other, wow, it's like we're having a threesome. This is disgusting. This is wildly inappropriate. Here is another example for another one of their thermometers, the in-ear thermometer, where on the side of the box it says, how about a quickie? And I want to emphasize again that this is real. Like, this is not Photoshop, this is not AI. You can, unless they've like taken them all off the shelf now, you can go into Walmart, Target, wherever carries FridaBaby, and you can see this for yourself. If you don't want to take my word for it, if you don't want to take everybody else's word for it, this is real. And if you really extra don't believe me, I will later on in this video read you a statement from FridaBaby themselves regarding this entire situation. And newsflash, it's not good. Here is another one for their nose suction device. Once again, a device meant to give babies relief from pain, from congestion, from not being able to breathe. And on the side of these devices, on a child's device to help them feel better, we're going to say, I'm a power sucker. I just really fail to find the humor in adult jokes when we're talking about children. And not just talking about children, we are involving children. I genuinely cannot wrap my mind around the thought process of this marketing team to have sat down together and been like, you know what's really funny? You know what I think parents really, the last thing I want parents to think about before they have to shove a thermometer in their child's rectum, the very last thing I want them to think about is thinking about the fact that this is an experience like a threesome with their husband. That's the last thing that they should think about. That's hilarious. Again, black screen, why do you think that's funny if you're defending this? Genuinely, I don't see the humor in this. It's not funny. The only people who actually think that's funny are the same people who would harm children, genuinely. Because that's not funny. That does happen to children. Adults do feel that way about children when they are simply helping the child or the child feels like they're being helped. This is a real thing that happens. So why is a baby brand marketing in this way? Who are they marketing to? And more importantly, who is on their marketing team and what's on their computer? Here's another ad for the nose sucker where it says, meet the new electric nose Frida. It helps baby breathe and sleep. Now that gives mama more pleasure than any other battery powered device. Normal, safe moms, normal, safe parents in general, do not want to be reminded of their own physical, sexual pleasure every time they go to care for their child. Normal people do not want to associate their own sex life, their sexuality, whatever, with caring for their child or interacting with their child. Normal, safe adults like to separate those two things. Like, I really think parents should take a step back and think about how they would feel if a stranger said these things to them or their child on the street. Like, say you and your husband are simply checking your child's temperature on the street, under their arm, orally, on their forehead, in their ear, it doesn't matter. And a stranger walked up to you and said, I bet that's as close as he's going to get to a threesome. Are you going to laugh at that? Or would you feel deeply disturbed and angry? Like, how dare you say something like that about my family? How dare you imply that thought? This last picture that I'm going to show you is probably the worst that I have seen so far. And it is so bad that it's enough for me to say that I don't think you should use FridaBaby at all. Frida Mom at all. I say completely boycott. They need to be investigated. They genuinely need to be investigated, every single one of them. They posted this picture of a baby. I have mine blurred. They did not. Fully crystal clear photo of a baby. Probably a photo that was sent in by a parent to FridaBaby. And FridaBaby used this photo of this baby who has snot going from the top of their nose to the top of their forehead as an advertisement for their nasal suction device, with the caption saying, "What happens when you pull out too early?" What are we implying here? And I'm not asking that genuinely, like, I know exactly what's being implied here. I'm hoping that you understand what's being implied here too. Okay, you have an image of a baby's face close up with boogers going from here to here, and the caption saying, "What happens when you pull out too early?" Are we joking right now? What kind of person not only thinks this is funny, but thinks that this is good marketing? This photo alone with this caption should be enough for them to be investigated. And if you are a parent who has sent photos in to FridaBaby for advertisements, I don't know if they've ever done like those tag us in your video of using your FridaBaby products or your photo or whatever, I would pay very close attention to this and put a lot of pressure on that company if they have access to a photo of your child using their products, because you don't know what they are going to do with that photo, clearly. And you would think that an innocent photo of your child using a product meant to help them would be safe in the hands of the people who created that product, but clearly not, because they're willing to use strangers' babies' pictures and make jokes about them, catering to one crowd and one crowd only. Because again, explain to me where the joke is in this picture. Explain what is funny. That should make any parent wildly uncomfortable. That should make any parent wildly angry, because why in the hell are we implying this? As I said earlier, FridaBaby has made a response. And no, they've not taken accountability. They've not sat back and said, you know what, we'll reconsider our marketing. You know, maybe we did take it a little bit too far. Maybe we should listen to parents who are complaining about this. That's not what happened. Let me read you what they said. In a statement to sarahcruz.com, the Post-Standard, a FridaBaby spokesperson commented on the criticism. From the very beginning, Frida has used humor to talk about the real, raw, and messy parts of parenting that too often go unspoken. We do this because parenting can be isolating and overwhelming, and sometimes a moment of levity is what makes a hard experience feel human, shared, and survivable. Our products are designed for babies, but our voice has always been written for the adults caring for them. Our intention has consistently been to make awkward and difficult experiences feel lighter, more honest, and less isolating for parents. That said, humor is personal. What's funny to one parent can feel like too much to another. We're never trying to offend, push boundaries for shock value, or make anyone uncomfortable. Importantly, our tone is never separate from our product. The humor we use is always grounded in a specific feature, benefit, or innovation, a reflection of the real problem we are solving for families. Frida was built to support families through some of the most vulnerable and transformative chapters of their lives. We stand firmly behind that mission. We will continue to show up with honesty, empathy, and courage. With each decision we make, we will continue to evaluate how we express our voice so that our commitment to families is unmistakable and our tone always meets the moment. What an absolute joke of a company. Like, genuinely, who is on the team? Okay, because I tried to see who was on their team. Like, I went to the FridaBaby website and everything, and it's like where it says meet our team. It's not available. 404 page not found. They took that down really, really quick. But genuinely, I want to sit in on one of these meetings. Okay, I need to just be there as a fly on the wall because yes, parenthood is extremely isolating. And as a parent, there are so many things that you feel like I am the only person going through this. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be anything to do with the kids, but just genuinely as a parent, it feels very isolating a lot of the time. And yes, it's really healthy and really good for parents to try to find humor in anything that we can, right? To try to bounce funny jokes off of one another, to keep the spirits high and lifted. Why do those jokes have to be sexual though? There's plenty of non-sexual adult jokes that you could put on childcare packages that will be there for the parents to laugh, to make a lighthearted moment out of a messy situation or an awkward situation, because normal parents don't really want to be doing invasive things to their children. So I can understand why a company might want to make that a little less awkward, but you're making it more awkward though, because you're taking an already uncomfortable situation and now you're making it sexual. And now you're saying that's just to make it not awkward. No, that actually just makes it more awkward and uncomfortable. Editing Danielle here. Hello. I meant to say this originally when I was filming, but I was too caught up in the heat of the moment that I forgot. So I'm going to say this now. Imagine being a child and growing up and stumbling across one of these boxes of items that your parents bought when you were a kid. Sometimes parents will hold on to the most random things, and even sometimes parents will be like, oh, I had no idea that I even still had that. Imagine it was one of these items and your kid grows up and is like, Mom, Dad, what is this? And why does it say that? I mean, I don't know for sure, and I can't say how an adult child, a grown-up child would feel about that, but I can say if that was me, I would feel super mortified and Mom, Dad, you know what I'm saying? So just another thing to consider there. I am no marketing genius, but I am sure there are a million adult jokes that you could make regarding and tying into a child product that would make adults laugh in an awkward, uncomfortable parenting situation that are not sexual, right? For instance, the Wendy... Maybe I am a marketing genius. Instead of it saying what it says, why couldn't it have just said WTF on the top? And then parents are like, whoa, why does this kid's product say WTF? And then you open it and it says, what the fart? Clap, that's good. That's better than what they have, right? Okay, and if I could come up with that on the fly, I'm sure somebody way smarter than me, and this is their field of expertise, could also come up with those same kind of jokes to make parents laugh in awkward situations. So who are you hiring? While we're here talking about FridaBaby literally not caring about exploiting actual babies to a certain audience, okay, let's also talk about diaper commercials. Because what was it? I think it was the Pampers commercial where they literally had babies running around without diapers and with diapers but bouncing on adults' heads and faces and stuff. What is going on in the child marketing world? What is going on? Who on these teams is letting this happen? And why has nobody that is involved in these kinds of commercials and productions and marketing and blah, blah, blah stepped up and said, hey, we could do this differently? Because there are some diaper brands that do it differently. There are some diaper brands where they don't ever show a child in the diaper, or if they do, it's just for a half of a second, which I still don't like. But the main part of the commercial is them pouring water into the diaper and shaking around and being like, look, we never leak. But they all leak, by the way. It's not even necessary to have babies involved in these commercials, but if you are going to have them involved in these commercials, it is definitely not necessary to have them half-dressed or undressed. And yeah, a diaper is not dressed. That's fully undressed. Children deserve full right to privacy. It does not matter that they're a baby. And this makes me mad in like movies too, especially movies where there's like a newborn or like a small baby, how they will just have the baby fully nude sometimes. Like I can't think of a movie right off the top of my head, but I do know like I have at least seen one movie where there's like a newborn involved and it's just completely nude. And I'm like, what are we doing? Just because the child is small does not mean that it does not have a right to privacy, that it does not have a right to autonomy over its body. And children are not props. They should not be used as props. They are people. Especially the movie ones make me so mad, because a lot of times like in these scenes, like I watch a lot of like thrillers and stuff. So like, again, I can't think of a movie off the top of my head, but I am like seeing it in my mind. I can remember it. This baby was like supposed to be like wet. I think it had just been born or something. It might have been The Last of Us that I'm thinking of. I'm not sure. But I'm like, these babies, like when they are crying in the movies, like they're not acting, they're actually crying. Like when you hear a baby crying in the movies, they had to make the baby cry. And movies and TV shows are like, you know, like refilmed over and over and over again. They have multiple different takes, which means that baby, like if it's covered in something to make it look slimy and gross, was probably cold multiple times throughout the day, was made to cry multiple times throughout the day. And for what? For entertainment? Why can't we use CGI? Why can't we use props? Why can we just not use kids? And especially kids like in diapers. Like I don't see adult diaper commercials like parading around adults wearing diapers and smashing their heads on other adults' faces to prove like how absorbent their diapers are. And to me, that'd be more appropriate to do that on an adult diaper commercial. I am genuinely so sick and tired of seeing society treat children as like second-rate people in our society. Like children are just props. Until what age? Until what age is it okay to exploit a baby and have a baby naked on screen? Until what age? At what age do we cut that off and say, okay, now it's inappropriate, when it should have been inappropriate since day one, because that baby deserves privacy and autonomy? At what age is FridaBaby's cutoff to be posting images of children in compromised positions with weird captions? Is it just babies because nobody's going to say anything? Or what's the other excuse people use, is that it's okay because babies are like so unrecognizable. Their faces change so much, so like nobody would ever know and blah, blah, blah. It matters. That's that baby. That's their picture. That happened to them, and now they have that tagline with them forever. That's now their digital footprint because a child care brand decided to post that. I am so glad to see so many people calling this out and to see so many people angry and upset at this, because I don't understand what they are thinking, continuing to market like this and coming out with a statement like that in the society that we are living in today and expecting a positive reaction. I think that we need to keep the pressure on them. Honestly, I think they need to be investigated. I really do. I really honestly do. Because what kind of people do you have working for you to be coming up with these kinds of jokes revolving around children? And if you're a huge fan of FridaBaby and wouldn't even know where to turn to next, let me introduce you to Safety First, who was here way before FridaBaby and has fantastic products. That's the only products that I've been using for my kids since I ditched FridaBaby, and they're great. I've had the same Safety First thermometer since 2021, I guess, yeah. And the screen is cracked, but it still works. And I've also never had to change the battery, which I think is really interesting. But that's all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm really interested to know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. I'm interested to see if you guys think anything's actually going to come out of this. I really honestly would be surprised, because this whole country is literally burning, especially when it comes to children right now. But I am really interested to see what will come out of this, if they'll make any changes, if an investigation might be taking place, because I definitely feel like it needs to. I don't know what kind of normal or safe adult would be making these kinds of jokes or posts about kids or with kids. It's really, really concerning. And if you are a parent who uses FridaBaby, I would suggest not repurchasing from them. I'm not a wasteful person, okay? I'm not a wasteful person. So like if you already have like the thermometer and stuff, don't throw it away just to go buy something else, you know? Like, you can finish using that product without supporting the brand or being wasteful or whatever. But I definitely would not go out of your way to repurchase when there are other companies who actually care about the safety and well-being of your child together. Okay, but for real, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, a great week, a great Monday, a great morning, evening, whatever it is, whenever you're watching my video. And I will see you guys on the next one.